The USS Wisconsin is a Tier 8 premium American battleship and the reward for the ongoing July 2025 campaign. And the answer to your question of is the Admiralty backing worth getting and is the campaign worth completing? Unequivocally, yes, in my opinion. The Wisconsin is a fantastic ship. Probably one of the better ships at Tier 8, to be honest with you. I've played about 23 matches in it since it was put in my port yesterday morning, and I've had a lot of fun with those matches. I've got two to show you today. This first one on Haven is the very first match I played in Wisconsin, and the results are pretty good. I've also got William Sims at the helm. He's going to be commanding the ship for this first battle. And the reason I wanted to use him is because, of course, he is a free-to-play commander, and I wanted to see, does the ship perform well with him at the helm? Played a few of the 23 battles with Sims, and I'd say the results were pretty good. Sims will serve you well if you don't have any of the paid commanders, although I think the optimal commander is Takanashi Hoshino. That's who I'll use in the second battle, and we'll get to that and why I think she's so optimal once we get there. First salvo, though, in Wisconsin versus HMS Defense, results are pretty good. One Citadel, 23,000 damage. Could have been a dev strike, maybe, if we had led the shot properly. I think we gave a little bit too much lead. Anyway, we'll run down the stats now as this first battle plays out. I'm going to give you the base stats, unmodified by any commander skills, since we're going to be using two different commanders between these two battles. So to begin with, we've got 75,500 HP base, which I believe is a little bit more than the Iowa. Makes sense, considering Iowa's Tier 7, and this is a tier higher at Tier 8. We also enjoy 40% torpedo damage reduction, which is kind of nice. I honestly suspected a little bit less. That's typically what you get on these sort of sniping, long-range, ultra-accurate battleships. Not as much torpedo protection, but Wisconsin's at 40% is decent. As for the armor, it's pretty much identical to the Iowa's armor scheme. We've got a 32mm bow and stern. The upper belt armor is 38mm along with the deck. So is the torpedo bulge, also 38, like the Iowa's newly buffed one. However, unlike the Iowa, well, actually much like the Iowa, the Wisconsin has a gigantic superstructure that is very easily farmable, so there's that. But unlike the Iowa, the Citadel on the Wisconsin is buried underwater. The Iowa Citadel sits right at the waterline, maybe a little bit above it, so if the Iowa gives you broadside, and you've played this game for long enough, you know that Iowa is one of the most easily citadelable battleships in the entire game. You can get those citadels very consistently at pretty much any range. The Wisconsin, on the other hand, with its citadel being buried underwater, I think the only time you're going to be hitting that is from long range with plunging fire. If you're close to the ship, then your shells may penetrate the side armor and do good AP penetration damage, but likely they're going to miss the Citadel and not score any critical damage. I think that's not really a great design to have the Citadel be so far underwater, but if that's the most I can complain about with the ship's design, I think we're doing all right. As for the main draw on the Wisconsin, you're seeing it here. The broadside Preußen takes a big hit from our initial salvo, and then we deploy the main battery reload booster to follow up. You saw our guns there reloaded in about 10 seconds. The reload booster is out now, but as soon as it went on cooldown, we only had 15 seconds left to go to get another salvo into the air. So effectively, with this reload booster, you can get about 3 salvos. The reload booster gives you a 65% reload bonus over 20 seconds, and there is no limit to the charges. There's only a limit to the cooldown time. The base cooldown time is 171 seconds, so nearly 3 minutes. However, there's some ways you can cut that down, which is one of the reasons I would recommend Takanashi Hoshino as the optimal captain. We'll talk about that once we get to the second game. But effectively, this reload booster is only as limited as the cooldown time is. And it's a reload booster that you could theoretically use immediately upon spotting the first enemy ship with your first salvo. We didn't do that against HMS Defense, but I've been trying to do that in the games that I've played with Wisconsin so far. If you've got no count on the consumable, even if the reload booster to begin the battle is not maximum effectiveness, well, then it's not going to be too long before you get another chance, and you can maybe use this reload booster 3, maybe 4 times in a battle, maybe a couple more times if you use some of Takanashi's skills. Anyway, we should talk about the guns. They do have a 36-second base reload. I suspect the reason for that is because of the unlimited main battery reload booster charges, and also because the guns are very accurate. But personally, I didn't find the 36-second reload to be all that detrimental. We're using it here with Sims, and the reload booster, I mean, you've got it essentially on demand when it's not on cooldown. So once again, Conqueror takes a big punishment from all of our guns with the reload booster active. And of course, we're going to be able to finish him off here, unless our battleship teammate does that for us, or if he gets around this corner here. Don't think he does. I think we get the kill as he beaches himself. Anyway, these are 16-inch or 406 millimeter guns. They've got a range of 17.4 kilometers, turret traverse time of 37.5 seconds, maximum AP shell damage 13k even, maximum HE shell damage 5700, with a 36% fire chance. I am using the artillery plotting room mod in the 4th slot. I've seen people discussing whether reload or artillery plotting is better. I understand the argument for doing reload, especially since the base reload time is 36 seconds, and the shorter you have the reload time, theoretically, the more use you can get out of the reload booster, but you've seen it in action with the base 36-second reload time, and essentially we get 3 salvos out of it. You're not going to be getting 4 salvos out of it if you use the reload boosting mod in the 4th slot. I don't know that there's any good argument for giving up the 10% dispersion bonus that the artillery plotting room mod gives you. In fact, I like the artillery plotting room so much on this battleship and every single American one that I upgraded the Wisconsin's artillery plotting room mod to the legendary, so that we get more accuracy for every 30,000 damage we do, and so that we get more damage for every kill. I didn't upgrade it in this first battle, because it was the first battle, but in the second battle we might have it. Anyway, this first one is drawing to a close. We're going to get some damage here on the USS Wisconsin over the island to get up to about 160 before the battle ends. Moving on with the stats as it wraps up, the AA defense rating is 94. I suppose this thing can shoot down some planes, but thankfully I haven't run into too many CVs yet, so I don't know what to tell you there. Maneuverability, 33.5 knot top speed, much like the newly buffed Iowa. 920 meter turning circle, not millimeter, that would be insane. 17.2 second rudder shift time, and concealment 13.6 with the concealment mod. That might as well be base. Of course, with my commander build philosophy, I like to build into the concealment a little bit more. We had 12.8 in that first battle. We're going to have 12.3 in the second. I find that very useful. Anyway, not bad results for the USS Wisconsin in the very first match I played with it. On to the second one, featuring Takanashi Hoshino at the helm. I'll show you the build here, and the reason I would recommend her as the optimal commander for the USS Wisconsin is, well, actually, there's a number of reasons. So, her base trait reduces battleship main battery reload time by a certain percentage. I've got her at rank 16, legendary 3. We get a 3.33% bonus to the reload time. Then we get a buff to main battery survivability by 9.5%, which is good because I have had my guns taken out a couple times in Wisconsin. And we get a slight rudder shift buff from the base trait too. So of course the reload buff helps with the 36-second base reload time. Then in Hoshino's second row of skills, we've got Dance with Death. That reduces the main battery reload time, and it reduces the turret traverse speed for every 1% of HP lost by a fraction of a percent. So, you know, you get more reload as you lose HP. There's also that. Of course, we've got Megalomania in the third row. That reduces the main battery reload time by 10%. Also reduces the maximum HP by 5%, but that's a trade I'm more than willing to make. We've still got 71,720 HP, even with that skill active. So I'd say that's good. By the way, there against the Minotaur, you saw the dispersion. This ship is ultra accurate, make no mistake about it, but it is still a battleship. You will still get salvos with bum accuracy from time to time. That does not mean the ship is not as advertised. It is very accurate. I've seen people reacting to certain clips of wonky dispersion from the Wisconsin. Look, if you've been playing this game for any amount of time and you don't realize that there is always, no matter what battleship you're playing, a possibility that your shells are not going to go precisely where you aim, I don't know what to tell you. The accuracy on this ship should leave nobody with any complaints unless their desires are, frankly, delusional and they just want the shells to go right to the aim point with no dispersion whatsoever. Not going to happen, unfortunately. Also not going to happen, the Gearing taking this cap. He gets taken down by the enemy Lucian, and I kind of wish in retrospect I was more past this island, because maybe I could have taken out this minnow. I don't know if doing that would have helped him survive. We do eventually get the minnow for our first kill of the game after missing him with some salvos. I think he was spec'd into rudder shift or something. He was very dodgy. Of course, this cap is occupied by Lucian, which has deep water torpedoes. Very scary. You don't see them till they're right in front of your face. So we're going to be cautious here. Anyway, back to the Hoshino discussion. We've also got Master Mechanic, which is why we started off with 6 heals. And then we've got the fully packed skill in the legendary row of skills. That's how we get to 6 heals. But the fully packed skill also gives a 3% buff to consumable reload time. Now, instead of taking Master Mechanic in the 4th row of skills, Hoshino's special skill is called Foreclosure Task Force President. What a name. What it does is it reduces damage from incoming shells, torpedoes, and bombs to your battleship per 1% HP lost, but it also reduces consumable cooldown time by a fraction of a percentage for every 1% HP lost. If you really want to build into the main battery reload booster and get it to cool down as quickly as possible, that is the skill you'll need. I've gotten the reload time down to from 171 seconds to 159 and more once that skill is active. You just got to take damage. By the end of the game, if you've taken a lot of damage, well, then the cooldown time it's still going to be over 2 minutes, I think, but it's going to be much closer to the 2-minute mark rather than the 3-minute mark. So that can indeed be helpful. We don't have that skill running in this battle, though, so we won't really be able to see it. But it is the reload booster that is going to be giving us all the damage that we get in this battle. The reload booster, along with the accuracy on Wisconsin, is the main gimmick of this ship, no doubt. It's this reload booster that allows you to be so effective. It's the same reason that ships like the Jean Bart, for example, at Tier 7 are so effective. Because if you get a person who is making a mistake, like the Yamato out here, coming around the island completely broadside to our position, then you can punish that mistake repeatedly. We Citadel the Wisconsin with the front guns, also Citadel him with the rear turret of justice, reload booster in effect, and 10 seconds later, another salvo. No Citadel there, but that's okay. We're going to get another use of the reload booster, and you can see once we cut down the reload time a little bit with Hoshino's skills, well, then instead of 15 seconds between the second salvo and the third, it's more like 10 seconds or so. It's a little bit faster if you cut down the reload time. That would be the main argument for using the reload mod. But again, I think we would have gotten the same results if we had Sims at the helm with that particular Yamato. 115,000 damage done now, and Yamato is well on his way back to port. Thankfully, for one reason or another, actually not thankfully, the Lucian left this cap. There he is over there. What he's done, though, is he's somehow managed to sail into the Bravo cap and take out the friendly Smollend. He's single-handedly dispatched both of the blue team's destroyers in this battle. The gearing in our cap, I regret that we were unable to help the gearing due to being behind an island, but what are you going to do? The small end, I don't know how he managed to go in there and take out the small end with his radar. You know, the small end has radar, of course, and the small end had two battleships behind him that could have shot at the Lucian when he was spotted, but of course the Lucian is still alive, the small end is not, and since the Lucian is so far away from us, we are going to be able to flip this capture circle, which I think we desperately need because it doesn't look like the Blues are going to be taking Bravo or Charlie anytime soon, but the Reds are certainly going to be taking Charlie. We do get one ship sinking a red, which is good, and Montana, like Yamato before him, is coming around the corner to also give us broadside, albeit a little bit further away. And I think he's maybe turning out a little bit, which is why all of our shells missed, except for one. Not ideal, but we do have the cap, and Montana is not turning out as much as maybe he should. We've got another battleship near us, which honestly is a little bit unfortunate. Number one, because he's shooting HE, and number two, because he's right next to us and we can't generate any crossfires. But it is what it is. Another shot out against the Montana. Accuracy looking pretty good on that one, accounting for his slight angle outwards, and, well, two citadels, 159,000 damage done. And at this point, we're going to be pushing forward a little bit more. I think the Wisconsin is just going to be an excellent ship at this tier. It is one of the better campaign ships they've released this year, no doubt. And with that reload booster, once again, punishing the broadside of an enemy battleship, and this time getting the actual kill, unlike with the Yamato. 180,000 damage done now, and surprisingly, the blue team is moving into Charlie. Reds have, of course, secured Bravo. That'll be probably thanks to the Lucian. But there is one other enemy destroyer still floating around. As you can see, the friendly Preußen, I think it is going to be pushing into the enemy spawn. We're not going to do that at the moment. We're going to push toward the Bravo cap and approach it from our spawn. Try to lob some shells over the island at the enemy Preußen, who is somewhat broadside to us, but not quite enough to get a lot of penetrations. We do get the high caliber medal there, though, to go with our Dev Strike. 186,000 damage and counting. Oh, and I forgot, too, if you are within a certain proximity to a friendly ship with the fully packed skill on Hoshino, I think that reduces the consumable reload time even more. You see, we've got only about a minute left to go on the reload booster at the moment because of that special part of the fully packed skill, and that'll be thanks to the friendly Preußen, who I guess there's one good reason why he's as close to us as he is. Anyway, he is going to go around that side of the island. We're going to go around here. We know that we've got Lucian over here in the cap. He's headed straight toward the friendly battleship. And now, in retrospect, I almost wish I had pushed with the Preußen because maybe we would have gotten shots on the Lucian and could have taken him out. Unfortunately, he is going to take out the enemy or the friendly battleship in the center, and then he's going to go dark as Preußen comes around the corner. Maybe he doesn't have sonar ready to go. Well, in any case, that's why I didn't want to go around the corner. It looks like Preußen is about to go down as well. Maybe not. I thought I saw his HP low there, but I might have been looking at the enemy Preußen. Here comes Lucian around the corner. I was suspecting torpedoes were going to be coming my way. And of course, Lucian is able to go dark. We really need to sink the rest of these enemy ships in order to have any hope of winning this battle. We're going to try to make a sharp turn to starboard here in order to avoid any Lucian torpedoes that might be incoming. But honestly, the Lucian doesn't really need to torpedo us at all. All he needs to do is keep us perma-lit for his teammates. The enemy Preußen that was over there has gone down. We do avoid the Lucian torpedoes, at least one set. But because we're perma-spotted by this guy, and they've still got one cruiser and one battleship left, the cruiser is going to be able to farm us with impunity, and we don't know where to angle against the enemy battleship since we can't see him. We could very easily give him broadside and get taken out, although he probably wouldn't citadel us. Vampire 2 makes an unforced error, getting spotted in front of us with no HP left. We're able to collect him for our third kill of the game, and now it's just Lucian, the cruiser, and the battleship. So theoretically, we could win this, and if any ship could carry a match like this, it probably is USS Wisconsin. But I think we would need a destroyer teammate to be able to win this one. We would need somebody to be able to spot whatever cruiser this is, HE spamming me. Also spot the battleship. Well, maybe that's not necessary. It's Preussen. He's somewhat broadside. Looks like he's angling. We'll use the reload booster, though, because it looks like he is going to turn out. I think not everybody realizes the Wisconsin has a reload booster yet, and so maybe they don't know to give the guns enough respect and actually angle against them after they've been shot. Good chance if you get shot by Wisconsin, another salvo is going to be incoming practically instantly. Preussen still maintains a little bit of that angle, though, so we aren't ultimately able to take him out. We're going to take a blind shot at this cruiser here. You can see with Hoshino and all the skills active, we're actually enjoying a 29-second reload time right now. Another demonstration of how Hoshino is probably the best commander. Some unexpected torpedoes coming through. I think those must have been the cruiser's torpedoes. They certainly weren't the Lucians or the Vampire 2s. I'm not sure if that's a Brisbane or a Minotaur. I think it might actually be a Brisbane, considering the HE spam coming our way. In any case, that has taken us down to about 8,000 HP. We don't have a very quick cooldown time on the heal, so we're not going to be able to use it to save ourselves. Lucian feels comfortable enough opening up, and we're going to return fire at him. We nearly kill him, 10k on the Lucian, just because of how accurate the Wisconsin's guns are. 220,000 damage, high caliber metal, Dev Strike. This is the highest damage I've gotten so far in Wisconsin. Ideally, next time, if I'm able to get a number like this, it will be a win. But our teammate, the Preussen, is not going to be finishing this battle out for us. I think he's been shooting HE the entire battle, which is baffling to me. So we don't need to see how that goes. We'll cut to the results screen, and we finish with 220,000 damage done and 2,300 base XP on a loss. But of course, the Lucian is the one that carried it for the Reds. GG, Lucian, especially for taking out both of our DDs. That was quite good. Honestly, a little bit depressing, though. I would have liked to have won that one. But Wisconsin, all in all, I think it's a fantastic ship. I would highly recommend it. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Give the video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.